and a pineapple under the sea.
When I was a little kid growing up, SpongeBob was my favorite show of all time. SpongeBob has been on Nickelodeon since 1999, and ever since then, it still remains to this day Nickelodeon's #1 show. And as of now, it has 10 seasons, and in 2004 and in 2015, it got 2 theatrical release movies, including the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, which came out back in 2004, and the SpongeBob movie Sponge Out of Water, which came out back in 2015, and a third SpongeBob movie is in development right now with Paramount Pictures and Nickelodeon Movies, and it's planning to be released in 2019. And I'm going to count down the top 10 best SpongeBob episodes in today's top 10 video. And I say this all the time when I do a top 10 or a top 5 video. None of this is fact. This is my opinion. These are the top 10 best SpongeBob episodes that I think are the best episodes of the series. So if you agree with me, fantastic. But if you don't agree with me, that's fine. I respect your opinion. So let's not waste any more time and let's dive into my top 10 best SpongeBob episodes. Alright, let's start the list with number 10. And number 10 is...
Don't you two have any brains?
Squidward, we don't need television. Not as long as we have our imagination.
When I was a little kid, Idiot Box was one of my least favorite SpongeBob episodes. I don't know why. I had a weird taste when I was little. But anyway, but Idiot Box was one of those episodes that really grew on me, and it's now one of my favorite SpongeBob episodes. So in Idiot Box, SpongeBob and Patrick order this large screen TV, but they decided to give it away to Squidward, and they keep the box that the TV came in, and they decided to go into the box and like do all these like really imaginative things. Like they decided to like pretend to be like mountain climbers, and they do like this cop chase. It's just, okay, the story makes no sense, but when you watch the episode, you'll understand it, and it's pure SpongeBob. It's self-aware of itself. Yes, it makes no sense, but it knows it doesn't make any sense. That's why I love this episode. Alright, let's move on to number 9. And number 9 is... So in SHANGHAIED, SpongeBob, Patrick, and Squidward are taken hostage by the Flying Dutchman after going onto his ship without him knowing it. And in order to escape, they have to make 3 wishes. One of the reasons why I love this episode is because it contains some of the most iconic moments in SpongeBob history. Like, for example, that clip you just saw, Patrick making the lee noise, that's one of them. And if you've seen this episode, you know what I'm talking about. There's a scene where Patrick is sailing the Flying Dutchman ship, and the Dutchman spots out some rocks up ahead of them, and SpongeBob's like, keep going, you're good, you're good, you're good, and like the Dutchman ship is like all crushed when they go through the rocks. It's just comedic gold, right? Let's move on to number 8, and number 8 is...
I'm sorry, what was that?
So, in Frankendoodle, SpongeBob and Patrick find this pencil that they think is a magic pencil, and they decide to draw stuff, and all their drawings come to life. And one of their drawings, for example, is a drawing that looks a lot like SpongeBob, and they name him Doodle Bob, and they make one of the biggest mistakes ever. They draw Doodle Bob, and they didn't realize that he's actually a monster who causes mayhem throughout Bikini Bottom. The story itself is really creative, and yes, it doesn't make any sense, but it's SpongeBob. Get used to it. Doodle Bob is one of my all-time favorite side characters in SpongeBob history. Yes, this is the only episode he has ever been in, but come on, I still love him, and I really wish they would bring him back in at least one SpongeBob episode. Like, it could be called like Doodle Bob Returns or something, I don't know. Alright, let's move on to number 7, and number 7 is...
Patrick, I don't think Wumbo is a real word.
Come on, you know, I wumbo, you wumbo, he, she, me, wumbo.
So, in Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 4, Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, who are basically SpongeBob's answer to Batman and Robin, they're at the Krusty Krab one day and they leave, and SpongeBob finds Mermaid Man's belt, which Mermaid Man accidentally left, and SpongeBob decides to keep it for himself, and that's when he like screws up everything and causes mayhem all over Bikini Bottom. And the giant M that's on Mermaid Man's belt, that's actually the belt's way to shrink people. You press it and it shrinks, and SpongeBob presses it too many times and it shrinks the entire population of Bikini Bottom. Out of all the SpongeBob episodes that have Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy in them, this one is by far my favorite. It has the most iconic moments and it has the best story. The highlight of this episode is by far, you saw the clip already, is Patrick's Wumbo thing when he switches the Mermaid Man M to W and he starts saying Wumbo, and that's one of the best moments in SpongeBob history. Let's move on to number 6, and number 6 is...
Let's gather around the campfire and sing our campfire song. Our CAMPFIRESONG song. And if you don't think that we can sing it...
So, in the camping episode, SpongeBob and Patrick go camping, and Squidward gets annoyed by them, and he decides to join them in order to prove that he's fitted to camp like them. I love everything about this episode, and it's definitely, in my opinion, a near perfect episode, and it contains probably one of the best songs in SpongeBob history, which is the Campfire Song. Alright, let's move on to number 5. And number 5 is...
The hash-slinging slasher.
The sash ringing, the trash singing, mash flinging, the flash springing, ringing, the crash dinging, the...
So, in the graveyard ship, Mr. Krabs decides to open the Krusty Krab all night, and that's when he decides to leave SpongeBob and Squidward there alone in the dark with no one there, and it gets really scary when Squidward tells SpongeBob this story about the hash-slinging slasher. And I'm being serious when I say this. I think this episode of SpongeBob is a lot more scarier than all these stupid horror movies that we get today. And I'm not going to spoil what happens during the ending of this episode, but let's just say it's a little weird, but if you've seen the 1920s horror movie Nosferatu, you're going to understand it. Alright, let's move on to number 4. And number 4 is...
Preparing the Krabby Patty.
The Krusty Krab train video is definitely the most different SpongeBob episode. Like, it doesn't have like an actual story, and that's what I love about it. It's a different SpongeBob episode, but you'll understand it pretty clear. So, let's just say the Krusty Krab is a real life restaurant. Like, something like McDonald's or Wendy's or Raising Cane's or whatever, and it's your first time working there. It's like orientation or something, and this is the video that you have to watch in order to work there. And if I was an employee there, I would love working there. Like, seriously. Like, this video will make your job better, I think. And there's one moment in this episode that I absolutely love. It's this moment where Patrick is going up to Squidward. Squidward is the register at the Krusty Krab, just in case, if you don't know. Like, Patrick takes forever to decide, and Squidward gets so impatient, and Patrick's like, I'll have It's moments like that that make SpongeBob great. Alright, let's move on to number 3. And number 3 is...
Krusty Krab. Pizza is the pizza, yeah, for you and me.
So, Pizza Delivery was one of the first SpongeBob episodes to premiere in its first season back in 1999, and the story is SpongeBob and Squidward have to deliver the Krusty Krab pizza to this guy, and they literally take forever. Like, they take half of the episode trying to find this guy, and they get lost, and it's just a great SpongeBob episode. And without giving too much away, but you're gonna know what I'm talking about if you've seen the episode. The ending of this episode is one of the most heartwarming moments in SpongeBob history. SpongeBob, while it is a very stupid show that's self-aware of itself, it's one of those shows, while it is stupid, it can have heartwarming moments in it as well. And this episode has a very sweet moment at the end of the episode. Alright, let's move on to number 2. And number 2 is...
Did you say chocolate?
Yes, sir. With or without nuts.
Chocolate? Chocolate! Chocolate!
So, in Chocolate with Nuts, SpongeBob and Patrick decide to be like one of the fancy living people and sell chocolate. And that's when they have trouble because not enough people are buying their chocolate, and this one guy is chasing them because he's obsessed with chocolate. What makes this episode great is because there's a bunch of random moments that happen out of nowhere. Like, for example, like the clip I just showed, there's that guy who's screaming chocolate and he's chasing SpongeBob and Patrick. And they meet this old lady who still has a mom, and her mom's like a shriveled up skeleton. And, okay, if you've seen the episode, you know what I'm talking about. That's like one of the funniest moments in not only SpongeBob history, but in television history. So, if you guys haven't seen Chocolate with Nuts, I highly recommend watching that episode. It is an excellent SpongeBob episode. Yes, there are a ton of random moments in it, but it's hilarious. Alright, let's move on to number 1. And my number 1 best SpongeBob episode is...
Everybody ready? And the 1, and the 2, and the 1, 2, 3, 4.
Whatever, I don't care if it's a cliche. Band Geeks is the best SpongeBob episode. So in Band Geeks, Squidward wants to prove to his arch rival Squilliam that he's not just a loner selling fast food, he has a band too. And Squidward decides to form a band with everyone in Bikini Bottom, including SpongeBob, Patrick, Mr. Krabs, Plankton, Mrs. Puff, Sandy, everyone else in Bikini Bottom, and it doesn't go as well as planned, but let's just say it's hilarious. Band Geeks is not only the best SpongeBob episode in my opinion, but it's one of the best episodes for any television series of all time. And for good reason. Just in case if you haven't seen the episode, but even if you do, there is one moment in this episode that I will not spoil at all, but it's the ending of this episode, and it's not only the most iconic moment in SpongeBob history, but it's one of the most iconic moments in television history. It's everything that makes SpongeBob great. Alright guys, that's it for my top 10 best SpongeBob episodes, and I have a question for you guys. What are your favorite episodes of SpongeBob? Which episodes do you think are the best? Which episodes do you think are the most memorable? Whatever they are, comment below and let me know. And if you want to see more videos, just be sure to subscribe.